Hello, everyone. We are here with one of INVENSITY's experts, Mike St. Jean, to discuss Agile product development and the key factors of a successful implementation. Thank you for joining us today, Mike. One thing that companies are struggling with is the prioritization of change requests. How can Agile product development assist with this to ensure customer happiness? Or how can a company improve in this prioritization with their already existing processes?
So when it comes to assessing change requests, by the way, thank you for having me. And with the wonderful question, we get to open this with accepting change and adapting to change is the hallmark of Agile product development. When we talk about accepting new changes, you want to evaluate what's the value add in this change request. That's a discussion you have with your customer. What's their acceptance criteria and how soon do they need it? Once you have that, you look into your project plan and then you identify the things that are essential or non-essential in that time frame where they ask you to deliver it. And then making sure that you have a clear idea of how much you can deliver in that time frame and what you have to remove from that time frame in order to get that done is pretty key. So I would say keeping your priorities in mind are super important when it comes to accepting change requests.
And to continue on the topic of prioritization, what is the importance of clearly separating high priority features from low priority features?
Excellent follow-up. So I would say clearly prioritizing your high and low means that you realize that your resources are limited. The whole idea of accepting new changes either comes at the cost of removing other lower priority features or adding additional resources to your product development plan. So when we talk about capacity, Agile generally deals with fixed capacity, meaning fixed resources, a team size of a fixed amount in whatever time frame that you've defined. And then being able to go ahead and remove the low priority features is key to making sure that high quality products or outcomes are coming as soon as possible within the defined time. And I think that's really what we focus on separating high and low priority features.
Thank you for your insight, Mike. It's not a surprise that communication is a key factor to a successful and efficient team. How can companies improve their communication stream to ensure effective and proactive collaboration?
I believe that effective communication comes with proactivity. Proactivity in your communication between managers, engineers, and the person's testing or accepting your product all comes with understanding what your process, your method, and your tools actually have in terms of how to work in this environment. So I think we should build up confidence. We should have a clearly defined process that everyone understands, making sure that everyone's qualified to work with the methods that they're recommended to use and the tools so that everyone's confident enough to say, I don't have to worry about how well I work in this environment anymore. I can only focus on the quality and the desired outcome of the product. And that way they can go ahead and plan effectively and say, I have very little time wasted. This is what I'm expected to deliver. This is the problem that I have. And this is what I need to report out to my manager, my test team, whomever else is working with me on the product development, maybe not necessarily in my team, because here you have diversified applications of cross-functional teams and then also teams working in different disciplines. So electrical hardware won't work directly with software, but at least I'll have the confidence to say, if I have a problem, I can communicate it to this person, and then we can go ahead and meet on a regular basis. And meeting and communicating on a regular basis is key to making sure that everyone's aware of where we are, what's the current status, and what's the next action in order to resolve problems or even improve the quality of the product.
And with this improved communication, do you find that employees increase their productivity? And are they enjoying that fast paced progression?
Well, absolutely. When we talk about progress, we talk about progression with confidence. So if everyone's working faster, that means they're feeling very good. And with these progression, I would say metrics, or maybe even with this focus of working more and more or faster and faster on these high quality features, they're getting feedback right away. They're getting feedback from the customer, from the test team. They're getting feedback from the people who essentially need to tell them whether or not they're delivering good quality. So this consistent feedback helps. It's almost like a reward at the end of every cycle, and it really adds this extra, I would say, gamification factor when we talk about increasingly improving your high score, or maybe even all of your progression in this fixed iteration. It definitely helps. It helps keep the motivation really high.
Wonderful. And another key factor of agile product development is increasing quality using fixed iterations for product deliveries. What is the importance of this?
Fixed iterations means that everyone understands that by the end of that time interval, something will be delivered of a known quality. The known, the act of knowing the quality comes from a review, a test cycle, or maybe even a testing report that comes from the engineer himself saying that this is exactly what I delivered, it came out as expected, or I have X number of defects from the cycle, and maybe we need to go back and do some rework. It's all about making sure that you understand how much progress you're making and how many things do you need to rework into your plan. That's opposed to a more traditional way of working where the feedback loops are spaced out a lot more. And the worst thing that can happen on a product development where lots of dollars are being invested is that you realize that 6 months, 1 year, 2 years down the line, this isn't the product that you were trying to develop, or it's not in queue with the customer. So the customer no longer wants that. They've changed their interest to something else. So going from changes to fixed iteration loops, you really have a really good control cycle. It's like, the frame rate on your TV monitor. If you're watching the Super Bowl and you have a super slow TV with a slow refresh rate, well, you're going to go ahead and miss, the grains of sand or the grains of grass on the field. It's that type of clarity that you get with these feedback loops, except it's not really a visual something, although it could be. It's more of a feeling and an actionable information that you get in a fixed time frame.
Awesome. And I love your example of the Super Bowl because nobody wants to watch the Super Bowl on a super grainy TV, just like nobody wants to buy a product where they're not sure of the fine details. So, Mike, you have been so informative during this interview. I only have two questions left, unfortunately, and they're regarding reporting. Why would you recommend a clear progress tracking and maturity milestones during product development? Could these things be used to identify value to stakeholders?
Absolutely. If you have clear objectives for progress tracking, let's call it a feature maturity index where you say, my feature's not working to 100% achievement in my product. Or it could be something as simple as I have a fixed product and my throughput needs to be 1,000 units every day. Then I have a clear system where I can go ahead and measure my performance or measure my growth even. And growth with progression KPIs means that although I'm not in the technical details of what goes into that process of developing the product, I at least have a bird's eye view of the things that are working and not working. And the beauty of Agile is we create so many data points, so often that we actually need to go ahead and condense that into actionable information. When we have actionable information that comes from very closed feedback loops, so when we talk about definition, this is the high definition view versus what could be really grainy. So I think making a good, well-defined set of KPIs helps us realize the big picture pretty quick.
Okay, and lastly, you just kind of touched a little bit on KPIs, but what are your thoughts on progression KPIs and how often should these be reported?
Good question. I would say on a weekly basis. Weekly, Monday through Friday, we work. Every Friday, we have a discussion, a reflection exercise with the team, or maybe one smaller group reviews the numbers, and then they realize where things are leading or lacking. And then we go ahead and draw the clear line where we need to improve our performance. Having those numbers are so valuable for making progress periodically that you can go from the losing team to the winning team in the span of a year and a half. And that's where, you really get an index of where do we need to improve. And constant improvement is the focus of agility.
Thank you, Mike, for your time today and providing our audience with great knowledge on agile product development. Mike has also helped create a checklist so that you can reflect on your current agile process and how it's managed and identify any room for improvement. You can access that checklist on our website or linked right here in this post. Have a great day, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you.